When you come to work in China, you're required to have what's called a Z visa or a Z visa. And to get this visa is not particularly easy. The process changes constantly. I originally got mine back in 2015, and the process took about 4 or 5 months because there were additional steps that were new to the process. My employer at the time was also doing it for the first time. So we stumbled a little bit, but we got it. What the Z visa is just an entry visa. And once you're in the country, then you have to convert that visa into what's called a residency permit. And typically, residence permits are for about a year because most employment contracts are for a year. And they typically match the dates of your employment contract. And then when you renew your employment contract, you then renew your residence permit. But things are changing again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rojo Reads the News. I'm your host, Paul. Just a quick article here today from Elisa at Foreign Wire. It's an original piece here. China, foreigners are getting 3 to 5 year residence visas easier. I've heard of this. I have friends of mine who are on marriage visas, but on a marriage visa, you're technically not allowed to work. You know, according to the rules, you're technically only allowed to visit your wife. I have colleagues that have only been able to get once every, even though if they have a year contract, they only get it once every 6 months and have to reapply. I typically get mine for a year. I would love to get one for longer. It would just make life so much easier. Boy, there's a lot of English mistakes in this. I'm sorry, I hate to point it out, but as an English teacher, I have to point it out. So I'm just going to try and read this and if I stumble, I'll try and do the correct English along. But if you follow along, you can see where some of the mistakes have be. I hate to point it out, but I have to for all of my English learners out there. That's one of the reasons why I have this channel, by the way, is for a lot of my students who like to learn about current events and like to learn about it in English. After the COVID-19 hit on the economy, foreigners are getting their resident visas in China easier, helping the foreigners to restore their confidence in the Chinese economy and help them to resume work faster. The authority lately is issuing 3 to 5 year resident visa extensions for a lot of foreigners who were staying in China during the COVID-19 period. That's me, by the way. I stayed here through the COVID-19 epidemic. I was on lockdown here, but my residence permit was only renewed for 1 year. I will say this, though, down at the PSB where you process these things, there was nobody. Typically, when you go in there, it's just a mass amount of people processing visas and paperwork. This time, however, there was no line. I think I waited like 2 or 3 minutes, submitted the paperwork, and got it back in a week. Compared with previous years, there was quite strict requirements for the application of the foreign employment and foreign resident visa, including checking on the company's annual tax, staff insurance, and physical office existence. And now the authority is granting longer term, even 3 to 5 years at a time for the foreigner's residence visa extension, which used to be only 6 months to 1 year for common expats. The authority will check the applicant's past history in China. If you have been staying in China for some years and with no bad record or even blacklisted, you can give it a try now. We trust a lot more favorable policies are on their way. So that's great news for people who have been staying here. It's not perfect. It's we did talk a little bit about the so-called Chinese green card and some of the proposals that they've made to try and make it easier for expats living in China to apply for that. But this is a step in the right direction. The annual processing of paperwork for your residence permit is time-consuming and not necessarily easy, especially if you have no one to help you. So to extend the period of time for those who have been here for a long time and are contributing members of the society here, this is great news. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know.